The movie opens with the famous skateboarder Sophie packing her suitcase to go to work. And for the record, Sophie gave up skiing years ago because unfortunately, she had an accident while skiing and became blind and couldn't see. Currently, Sophie is trying to get out of the house without seeing her mom because her mom doesn't like her doing this very much, but her mom senses her and comes out and tells her that she went somewhere. Baka offers to give Sophie a ride, but Sophie refuses and realizes that the taxi will be the one to drive her and Waji. Indeed, Baka comes out and gives him a bag to get on, but before she gets on, Ma hugs her goodbye, and Sophie walks away. In general, after a while, Sophie is still in Arabia because the house where she is going to work is a little isolated and a couple of kilometers away, and when she is no longer in Arabia, she doesn't call her to check in. She also informs her that there is a program called Sight for Me, which is specially made for blind people to help them and keeps the eye through the phone, and tells her that she sent you the message. Download the program because it will be very useful for you. Sophia's outspoken friend Sophia doesn't care and just tells her I'll talk to you again and hangs up. In any case, Sophia arrives at the house where she works, and her landlady Deborah. You meet her and introduce her to her home security system. And we also know, my friend, that the nature of Sophie's job is something like security as well. In other words, they protect the house and take care of the animals in the house until the owners themselves return home. Deborah's home security system has been set up so that she can comfortably control everything. I also introduced her to her poll for her to consider, and it killed her where to eat it, where exactly, and everything is all. In the end, I said bye. She put a motion sensor on the neck of the house so she could sense when someone entered the house and approached the house. She then called her boyfriend and started showing him the whole house and even got him to describe to her exactly what the house looked like and started showing her how to walk. He starts describing her until she reaches the liquor store. She's thrilled to find a $4,500 goose there. At this moment, Deborah, the owner of the house, calls her and realizes she is still in the middle of the hotel and asks her to activate the security system to stay safe. Sophie did it. I told her that if she needed anything or any help, she could talk to me, and hung up. After a while, Sophie was frankly fed up, so she went outside to get some air and told her that the door was locked on her while she was outside, and because of the security system of her door, it could not be opened from outside, so she told her that she would use the program and now give it all the permissions to be able to see where it was. Then the program connects her to a girl named Kelly, and Kelly opens up to her and asks, "How can I help you?" Then she realizes that the door is locked and she can't get in, so she starts moving the mobile phone so that she can see the door well, and Kelly asks her if she knows that this house has another door, and she realizes that she doesn't know very well because this is not her house at all, so she asks her if she knows that this house has another door. He asks her to move around the house and she says she'd rather see a video lab. She starts describing the road and how to walk, right and left, until she reaches the door of Azaz again and tells her to open it. But Sophie can't and tells her the door is locked. Kelly was so confident that the door was up that she could open it that she told her to put her phone on the floor and try to push the door with both hands and eventually open it. She finally opens the door. She is very happy, but scared because of the alarm sound from the security system, because of course it's a hack. She runs in like a madman to try to go in and unplug it quickly. She runs in and guides her and shows her exactly what's in front of her so that she knows exactly how to reach the control spirit and unplug the system until she succeeds. I was so happy and thanked Kelly so much for helping her because this program was coming out so well. Because, by the way, anyone else would be afraid to do it and think it's haram. But Kelly didn't miss it at all and just helped her. I recognized her by her name and told her to take care of herself and hung up. After that, she will set Kelly's number as her priority so that the program can always reach her when she needs help. In the compound, it's a nightmare, and you go to sleep. The trouble is that when she sleeps in a group, they break into the house to steal it because they remember that no one is home. It should also be noted, my friend, that this haramia was showing them that they had been planning this robbery for a long time, because they knew the security code for their house. His only problem is that they also know the location of the safe, which is completely hidden behind the moment. They began to prepare their shoes well. I heard a banging sound coming from downstairs. She woke up restless. I activated the sensor in the cat, and it started walking one by one to see what. The problem is the sensor made a sound. One of the sanctuaries heard this sound and walked after it until reaching the cat. He began to suspect that someone was in the house with them, so he went back to the owner and opened the safe. He goes back to his friend who opens the safe and now calls his boss and tells him that there is trouble with us now because someone is in the house with us. So he told him that he should walk as the plan ended and hung up with the call. Sophie by then had heard everything, and she panicked and went and got the phone out and immediately called the police. She told them thieves broke into the house, gave them the address, and introduced herself. But they shock her and tell her that help will be delayed until it arrives, because the house is in an isolated area, and it will take time for them to arrive. Sophie, of course, goes crazy and immediately calls the police and calls Kelly so that she can help her and show her the way so she can escape, and tells her now that there are thieves in the house she's in. Help me. All the while, she gets nervous and tells her to be quiet and let them take what they want and walk away. And Sophie shocks her and says, "They know I'm here and they're looking for me." The moment I asked her to get up quickly, she started describing the road and advised her to go down to the basement and lock the door until the police came. But Sophie refused and said, "No, help me get out of here." She said okay, and started telling her to go from where exactly, and go where until she gets to the person who opens the safe. Carrie knows this and walks through another door and continues to describe it as it is and says it in a way that keeps it away from people. But Sophie is a distance away when she gets close to the door and realizes that she is next to the door and can escape. She rushes to the door but unfortunately misses her escape and is caught by a third person who, by the way, was standing at the door. They then take the phone from her and hang up on Kelly and realize that Sophie called the police about 12 minutes ago. You'd think the police would be home in 19 minutes at the most. At this time, Sophie was terrified of them and told them to take what they wanted and walk away. Of course, they don't like it, so they say, "Of course, so you can report us after we've seen it. You know she is blind and has never seen their face." They began to confirm that she was indeed blind, to recognize her name from her ID card, and to know that she was the best skater who had suffered an accident before and lost her sight. They are reassured when they learn she is blind, but they don't know what to do with her, and the police are on their way. One of them had to be afraid they wouldn't get away with the $7 million that was in the safe here before the police came. But the point is that when garbage cans hear this amount of money, they go crazy and say, she tells the leader that she will help you and make the police not come here and tell them it was a false report, but on the condition that I want a percentage of this money and a guarantee that I won't be harmed. Samawatha is very happy and says to her on the phone, "Okay, I'll give you 5% and help us get out of here and you don't have to hear about us anymore." Stop, of course. Longer, she calls the police and tells them her name and address. She informs them she filed a report about 15 minutes ago, then realized it was false, finding no one, and only forgot to turn on the TV. I heard his voice and thought someone was breaking in because she's blind and doesn't know it's a TV. The police said, "Okay, but there is also an officer on your way to check on you, and because the law requires us to send an officer to you even if it's a false report." The leader tells his men to calm down and tells Sophie Dirk that you are getting rid of this issue. He tells his men to get ready quickly so that this Zabat will be gone. And they do, and they get elected. One Kelly was literally going crazy and calling the owners to find out which house Sophie was in. Kelly, by the way, was in the military and has a lot of contacts, so we're trying to locate her to help her. In the meantime, my friend's sister-in-law came and arrived at the house, and is currently standing in front of the house asking Sophie to open the door for her, but Sophie doesn't want to open the door for her, telling her that she reported it to the police, that it was a false report, and that she can't open the door because the landlady told her not to let anyone in. The police knew then that they were entering because it's the law. You enter the bottle, open it, and look for anything strange. When you search, it says la. Waits a little and says no, there is no one and I don't need help. And so does the lady, but someone from Hermia Bara calls. And Sophie finds that it's a normal phone. It's not someone's phone. So she goes in with her and makes her answer in front of her to make sure the leader who was calling is now calling, but it's Malia Sophie who answers. He pretended he was calling her and said it was a wrong number, then hung up. I was reassured and I left to walk away. But once she got a call from her police officer, who told her that we got a call from a girl named Kelly, who was talking to a blind girl in the area where the officer was currently standing, and she was talking to a video of thieves who broke into the house and took her away. She realized that Sophie was mad at her, so she abandoned the house, raised her gun, and asked One of them came out and told Zabat that he was the only one here and no one else was present. He said, "There's someone else here." Sophie realized there were two others. Unfortunately, she was unable to do so because one of the Hermia attacked the Zabat, stuck him in the wall and shot him, but he didn't die. Meanwhile, Sophie seizes the opportunity and takes the gun and hides in the house. The first thing you did was to help her and get her out of here. Indeed, you help her, my friend, and can get her out of the house. But you tell her you don't know what to do, and she's prepared for you because you're running off into the woods. Please go home and do exactly what I'm about to tell you. Sophie does just that, goes home, and as soon as she walks in, she meets and falls face first into one of the two sanctuaries. At the time, Sophie was a fugitive, and the first time she walked in, she raised the gun, and Kelly started helping her aim, knowing how to move the gun, or forgetting that Kelly is an expert in these things. It's important to ask her to strike him with fire, but Sophie fears doing so, as Kelly knows he's approaching her with a knife, so she must strike. Sophie fears hitting him with fire, and he dies. Of course, his friend who was outside the house hears the sound of the bullet and quickly enters the house and keeps looking for Sophie until she suddenly appears in front of him and shoots him, but the bullet doesn't come, and he keeps running after her until he enters the liquor store, where Sophie gets rid of him and the other one without any trouble. The only issue is that the mobile battery is close to pure disposal and disconnects, so he told me to let me take the heat cord and told her to gift the first one. Then we move quickly to finish off the last one before the telephony batteries are disconnected. She gets up quickly and keeps going until she reaches the last one of them, who at the time was opening the safe, and before she shoots him, he sees her, moves, shoots her, and keeps dodging her. Kelly, of course, tricks her. She also hits him and dies quickly before the phone disconnects, because then she can't help it, but the phone disconnects. All the while, they were turning and terrorizing Sophie, but Sophie was still holding the gun on him, telling him not to move until the police came. She realizes the phone is disconnected, so she realizes it's a lonely time and doesn't know where it is. He gets up, opens the safe as it is, and tells her that I will take my money and walk away and leave you the rest of the money. He takes some money and tries to escape, but Sophie stops him because she wants to hand him over to the police. He stops and tries to take the gun from Zabat, but due to Sophie's strong sense of hearing, she hears the sound of the gun and shoots him. Then the boss rings him to find out what the news is. Sophie hits him back and he has to get out of his car, which is already parked next to the house. He enters the house next and calls out to Sophie, "Where are you? I'll give you the percentage you want. Don't be afraid, but get out." To reassure her, he picks up the phone and calls the police and tells them that there are spies everywhere and I'm undercover and I'm going to be fine. Then he tells her that what I'm doing is fair because Deborah wanted to make trouble in our divorce because we were married. And you know that all this money that's not in the bank, it's all stolen money and that money will be ours. I'll give you $1 million all on your own, but you have to tell me you're with me. Sophie doesn't answer him and turns off the power knife because he can't watch, and turns off the power to the whole house. She begins to realize it, shortening things and making noises, but unfortunately he doesn't watch and a bullet hits her in the legs. She will run away and keep doing this pen, walking one by one until she reaches one part of his manhood. She grabs her phone and asks Siri to help her phone's voice to dial the last number on that phone. Based on Chief Perrin's phone. When she hears the sound of the reindeer, she gets up, recognizes him, strikes him with fire, and he falls to the ground. Sophie goes for a little reassurance and walks one at a time to the door, but the boss is not dead and attacks her, knocking her to the ground and choking her. Until her luck is good and she feels with her hands at her side and finds a hammer, she quickly grabs it, hits it with it, knocks it to the ground, and beats it down until there is no more of it. Police arrive, and then that's it. Days after all this, we see Sophie coming out of the hospital in a wheelchair because of the bullet she took in her leg. Currently, her mom is with her and tears her up in the chair. At this time, Sophie knows that she has contacted the Paralympic Federation, which she doesn't know what that is. It's a specialized federation for athletes with disabilities. And it's important that her mom knows she's from here and she's going to the Paralympics because she'll be able to man up in a week. Her mom, of course, is very, very happy and thankful. Exactly 1 week later, we see Sophie getting ready to train, and this time she begs Kelly to help her train, and she keeps showing her the way as she did before, and now Sophie has a beautiful friend who was helping her in the first place, if you remember, and they start skating together, with Kelly helping her along the way, so that she can finally come back and win again like before. The movie concludes.